Welcome to penparts.com. Online video help. In this edition, we're going to try and assemble the side plate for a Penn small version reel. We're going to use a 155L, but this video will probably work for many of the small Penn reels. To expedite things, in the video, we have actually assembled the bridge assembly. So it is a complete unit. We've taken the bridge, the main gear, all the drag washers, and the collar, and we've actually put them together, and we retained them together with a small little rubber O-ring. A rubber band would work just fine. We've taken the rest of the parts for the side plate. We've laid them out here so that they're readily available to work with. The first step was to be to make sure that we have a nice clean bushing installed in the side plate. Very seldom does it need to be changed. It does not wear too much. Corrosion from lack of maintenance would basically be the only reason to change that bushing. The first step would be to install this piece. The spring mounts in a little hole right there. And we install the spring in a little notch in the side plate right there. And we install this piece in the hole just like that. So that stands just about like that. Okay, once you got this thing sitting right there, it will not depress all the way because the spring is in the way. So what we need to do is turn this over, keeping our hands holding that thing tight against there, and put the clutch lever on upside down. There we go, right there. And turn the clutch until the spring becomes at a balance point where you can take that lever off and it's going to hold itself in place. Now turn the lever over, put the arm back on again, and get the screw, and put the screw right here. All the time holding the pieces together with your fingers. Most of this job can be assembled with a Penn wrench. Matter of fact, it can all be assembled with a Penn wrench. In this case, it's a part number 168-60. As you tighten this screw, you'll feel your inside finger actually squeezing the pieces together. Once the clutch lever is in place, just like that, double check it and make sure it works fine. At that particular point, we install two springs in the side plate. Take this piece and put it right over the top of the springs, and I depress it and hold it down in place. The plastic holds it where it needs to be. Install it. Make sure the clutch lever is in the up position just like that. Take this piece, looks relatively simple, snap it down in place and let go, and those parts will basically hold themselves together for the rest of the assembly. At this particular point, we need to install the pinion gear. Right, so far we haven't worried about the clutch dog. And we're going to reach over here and we're going to grab our assembled bridge assembly. The bridge assembly gets put in the hole upside down. Yep, doesn't seem like that's the place to put it, but it gets put in there upside down. Squeezing the pinion gear slightly, and now squeeze the whole package together. At this particular point, we now have an empty hole that our dog has to go on. Well, what the best thing to do is take the screw that has all the threads on it and put it in the hole, and grab a little piece of scotch tape and tape the screw to the back of the reel. Now you don't have to hold the screw with any fingers while you're trying to install the dog. Since we have all kinds of room in here now we can install the dog, and we can take the dog spring and put the dog spring down in place where it needs to go. This spring comes new from the factory, straight, but it actually develops a little bit of a bend after you use it the first time. Now what you need to do is, holding this whole package together, is push the screw just far enough into the scotch tape that you can turn the bridge a little bit more, and the bridge will actually drop right in place. Boy, that really set in there real nice. Okay, now I don't worry about the scotch tape side, because that's holding one screw in place. Grab the other bridge screw that has all the threads on it and install it in a hole right there. Now once again, we could actually use the Penn wrench, but for time reasons on the video, I'm going to move over here and grab a hold of my screw gun, which will serve the same purpose. Okay, just snug. Don't have to tighten it up too much. Now what we need to do is take the scotch tape off without pulling the screw out of the hole, and snug up that screw a little bit. Now we can install the other. But before we do that, grab a hold of the post and make sure that it turns one direction, doesn't turn the other direction. Well, now you know we have the dog spring installed in the right place. So at this particular point, we can install the next two bridge screws. If these screws don't line up right, it would be necessary to loosen the bottom ones about half a turn. Let's see how we stand here. That one went in, and that one went in. So we're really in good shape. It would be necessary to loosen those two bottom screws about a half a turn, so you could take the plate and wobble it a little bit, or grab the clutch parts and just shift them a little bit so there's room for the screws to line up. Okay, at that particular point, the hard part of the job is basically done. I mean, there isn't too much more. Now you got to remember, we got to take this rubber O-ring off of here and install the star, which is normally installed with a part number on the star facing down. If there is no part number, most cases it doesn't make much difference. If you hold that stud with your thumb, you'll be able to thread the star down far enough that you can install the anti-rattle washer, put the handle on, and the rest of it's basically pretty simple. You install this nut, tighten it down till it's just barely snug. Don't want to over tighten it, and here's the reason why. You have to line up screw hole so that the little screw can go in place. If you take the wrench and turn it just far enough to get the screw hole lined up. Now this is where my fingers really don't like to. I put the screw in the end of this little screwdriver and I stand it on the handle and I move it over to the hole where it belongs. Drop it in place. Basically, we have an assembled unit. Just need to make sure that we remember to put the chrome ring, and we can put this piece right back on the reel with the 6 screws. And don't forget the 2 bottom screws here. The 2 bottom screws are shorter than the 4 post screws. You don't want to get one of the long screws sticking out where the fishing line can get stuck on it right there. Another suggestion would be to take this nut on the opposite side, this bearing, and back this bearing off about 2 turns while you're assembling the reel. That way, if anything is misaligned, when you tighten up the screws on this end of the reel, you won't break the side plate out of this side of the reel. Give yourself a little leeway. And when you get all done, you have a real sloppy spool like that. Well, what you want to do is you want to tighten this up, tighten this bearing up until the spool doesn't move. Right there where it doesn't move, and then back it off and give it somewhere between 2 and 5 thousandths side play, and that way it'll have plenty of free spool so you can spin it, and everything is good. So now we got a reel that'll turn one direction, but you can't turn it the other direction. Okay, that's going to do it for today in this edition of PennParts.com video reel assistance on repair. Thank you for being with us today.